What's up, YouTube fam? It's Tiffany coming back with another video. I know it's been a few months. I haven't been uploading like I promised I would, but it's 2024, so we're gonna start fresh. We're gonna kick this year off with a fresh new video. Today we're gonna talk about what are some of the things that you should do with us kicking off a new year. How should you start this year off great with your business? Like, what are some of the things you should be thinking about? What are some of the things you should be doing to make sure that you have a successful 2024, right? Because that's the goal. But before we hop into that, make sure you guys like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're sharing, make sure you're getting down in the comments, dropping down topics, things you want me to cover, questions that you have. I do try to make sure that I get back to you guys as soon as possible with those questions. So I want to foster an environment where we're talking back and forth to one another, sharing ideas, sharing things that are successful, sharing lessons learned. So make sure you guys are taking full advantage of that. All right, so first things first, before you do anything as far as like planning and strategizing for 2024, you first want to take some time to really reflect. Think about your business. Think about, how was I feeling about my business at the end of 2023? Was I excited? Did I feel like I had finally gained some momentum? Was I struggling? What are some areas that I kind of want to improve upon, right? So thinking about what went well, what didn't go so well. Of the things that didn't go well, is it something that maybe I just need to adjust? Is there maybe a different strategy I need to take? Or is it, hey, I just need to do away with that altogether? So just to give you guys an example, I had a business meeting with my sister, who's my business partner, and we sat down and really talked about Thumbtack, for instance. We're talking about, how can we do better with marketing and getting more leads. We used Thumbtack a lot in our first year business, or I would say the first in 2022 when we first started. We got a lot of momentum. I got a lot of hits with Thumbtack that year. For whatever reason in 2023, it was crickets. Like, a lot of the people that we did get, we didn't close. We didn't really get as many people, I felt like. And to me, it just felt like we were just in a competition for who could get the cheapest price, a race to the bottom. And in my opinion, with the type of business we're trying to build, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. So while Thumbtack is great every once in a while to get a lead that we close, I no longer want to depend on them as one of our main ways to gain leads and to get business. So that was something we reflected on. Hey, in 2023, Thumbtack did not work out as well for us. So what are some ways and strategies that we want to implement 2023 to make sure that we keep getting leads and we keep gaining some momentum in that arena? So that was one of the things that we reflected on as far as, we need to relook at this strategy and probably eliminate it or greatly reduce how much we're relying on it. So yeah, thinking about what worked well, what didn't work well, thinking about what are some of the things that I can implement in 2024 even more that I got from 23. So maybe something was a hit and you're like, hey, this is something that I just tried out and it worked out better than I expected. Maybe I want to do more of it. And then of the things that kind of went well, we want to evaluate how and when we want to implement those things, thinking a little bit more about that. One thing I would say, when we're talking about reflecting, and I heard this on a podcast I was listening to yesterday actually, is that life has ebbs and flows. I would say business is the same way. So you'll have ups, you'll have downs, you'll have times where you feel like, man, like, what am I doing wrong? I can't close anybody, or our phone isn't ringing as much as I would like. So when you're reflecting, try not to be too hard on yourselves. A lot of time we are our worst critic. So I would say, try to show yourself some grace. We're all learning in this business. There's always ways that we can improve, things that we can learn, right? So give yourself grace for that when you're doing that reflection. Look back on how much money, did you make? Like, we looked back on how much we made that last year in comparison to our first year that we started. We looked back on the number of leads that we gained in comparison, where those leads came from. We looked back on how much repeat business we got and kind of talked about like, hey, we got a lot of repeat business. That's a good indicator, right? That we're doing the right things when we're meeting with our customers, when we're interacting with them, when, we're providing them a final product of their videos. Clearly that's an indication that we're doing something good there. So we want to keep up that behavior, right? So again, just spending some time carving out just to think, just to relax, no pressure, and jotting down your thoughts that come to your mind. Jotting about, think about during those ebbs and flows of your business, what were you doing, right? So when your business was up, what are some of the things that you implemented? When your business, maybe had a lull, what are some of the things? We reflected about how, that first year in 2022, we, you know, had a really hot summer. And then this year, for 2023, summer, I mean, it wasn't dry, but it definitely wasn't the same as it was in 2022. And we actually had a really big December. I'd say December is probably our best month in business since we started. And so I was like, well, if we could combine that together, we need to look back on what we were doing that first summer and what we did this holiday season, because if we can combine that together, I feel like we could definitely, you know, probably double our business. So again, spending some time just thinking about that and jotting it down and getting that out in the open, talking about it, thinking about it, I think will give you room to then look into the, you know, into the future and think about what you want to do in 2024. One thing I did also want to note is that don't feel like you have to have all the answers, right? For me personally, I was just thinking about, okay, well, how much money do I want to make in 2024? Where do I want to see my business in a year? Where do I want to see it in 5-10 years? You know, is this something that can replace my permanent job? Is this, you know, what do I want to do here? How can I implement, you know, I just felt like I had so many questions that I needed to answer. And sometimes we kind of overwhelm ourselves, depending on the type of person you are. I'm an overthinker sometimes. Everyone isn't that way. But I would just say a word of caution to not feel like you have to have every answer right now, right? You have some time to adjust. You have a plan that you're going to kind of lay out for the year. You can always tweak that plan. You can always adjust, right? It's try, fail, and adjust method. We are entrepreneurs. We make our own schedule. We make our own timeline. You know, we are successful as fast as we want to be, right? So you're the captain of this ship. So don't feel like, again, just because we're kind of kicking off a new year and we're trying to plan and strategize, we have to have all the answers right now. All right, so then the next thing I would say is spend some time thinking about, you know, 2024. What are some of your goals and aspirations? Do you, you know, want to increase business by 20%? Or do you want to get maybe more leads? I know for us personally, my kind of goal in general is to at least have one event a weekend. So there were some weekends where we had multiple events, and there were some weekends when we didn't have any. And so again, every year I just try to make sure that we're getting more of those, because I do want to make sure my business is growing. And then also, I was actually on David Rodriguez, his Facebook page. If you're not already on that, make sure you join it. I don't know the title of that off the top of my head. I'll probably have to put that in the description. If you're not already on his Facebook group, it's a ton of information there for new photo booth owners, and not even just new, just photo booth owners in general, people who want to grow their business, want to learn more about this business. I would say Facebook groups they're free, right? So why not take advantage of them? So one of the things he was talking about on there was, you know, he wants to grow his business. I think he said like 40% or something like that, 20% next year. And the way he wants to do it is looking at his pricing. He thinks that he can make, you know, more value add to his business by raising his prices and really evaluating the clientele he's getting. Once you raise your prices, you know, that forces you to kind of go into a different realm of clientele that also requires you to bring more to the table, right? Bring more value add. If you're going to charge more, you have to add more value. Quality videos, making sure you're professional, quality props, you know, making sure your videos are beautiful. You have to have a great end product. And, you know, if you think people are going to pay that, but that also puts you, you know, in the room with people who are going to be better quality for you, right? So you might get more corporate clientele or more weddings or things of that nature. So, you know, that's something that you might want to think about as well. It kind of got me to thinking like, hey, I could probably charge more. I've seen some prices that I'm like, man, I'm really, you know, I'm not charging enough. And then there's times where I feel like, okay, well, I want to stay busy, right? So there is a balance there with really looking, and that's maybe it's another topic that I'll do for a video, is really looking back at my cost, looking at how much I'm charging, and really getting into the weeds of making sure that it's valuable for me, right, as a business owner, because I'm not in a business just for the sake of taking videos and having fun, right? I know some people do it just for fun, but I do it because I actually do want to make money. This is my travel fund. So maybe something that'll be something I'll do next time. But I generally kind of have an idea about how much we spend for, you know, for an event, but it would be good to kind of, you know, peel back the onion a little bit and kind of understand like what are some of the costs down to like, this is how much gas, you know, I'm costing for gas. This is how much I'm paying for this insurance and this, you know, subscription. Because I think a lot of times when we sit down and do that to the T, a little bit more detailed, we find like, wow, I really could be charging more for this. And it helps us be able to communicate that when we're talking to our customers who might come back and say, what, you're charging $250 an hour? Like, why would I pay that, you know? I think that's a really important to be able to communicate that when you're talking to customers. So yeah, just making sure you're spending some time going over your goals, going over your aspirations, short and long term, thinking about some of the things you might want to implement, and then having some type of follow-up, right? So at our business meeting, we said, you know, let's try to sit down and look at things every quarter. I mean, because there could be adjustments that can be made throughout the year. We don't want to keep doing something that's not working for a whole year before we sit down and reflect on it. So all in all, I made this video to say, make sure you're spending some time reflecting and strategizing. Don't spend all your time just talking about 2024 and not really reflecting on 2023. I think you want to have a good balance of both. And that way we will make sure that you have a successful and a great 2024. So yeah, get down in the comments and share with me some of the things that you might be implementing or some of the goals that you might be setting for 2024. And that way we can help motivate each other on this journey to being successful photo booth owners. So that's all I got for you guys today. I've talked enough. You know, like I always say, I try to keep these short. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon again and not be away so far. I promise I will, I'll hop on here again soon. Again, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share this video. All right, see you later.